All right, well, good morning or afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Optimal webinar. We've done a ton of these this year. I think maybe this is like our 23rd or 24th webinar. On the Optimal webpage, there is a tab called Events. I get this question all the time when we send out webinars. How do I get people to sign up for new webinars? If you just go there, the calendar is there. And we've added all the webinars. We've got an office hours coming up on May 29th. That's where you can get anyone at your firm to jump on and ask me any question about NetDocs. And hopefully I know the answer. June 5th, I'm doing a Mac training 1 hour. I've done a longer one before. We're going to do an abbreviated how to use NetDocs on the Mac. And then June 19th, we are going to do our Titan File webinar, which Peter, I know a lot about. I know Bundledocs and Titan File did a webinar a couple of weeks ago. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit. But I want to point out before I turn it over to Peter here, like I said, we do a lot of webinars. And when I see a product that I really like and think can help people out that are using NetDocs, or in this case, for Bundledocs, you do not have to be using NetDocs. I like to let people know it's the vast minority of the webinars that we do are other products. Mostly they're just like how to use NetDocs effectively. But to be clear for everyone on here, Bundledocs is a separate product that you will need to purchase if you decide it's something for you. And if it's not, it's not, and that's fine. And I think it's just good to know what's out there, especially Peter, because I'm excited for you to talk about, hey, maybe you don't need to buy Adobe for everyone. You could save a little money and use Bundledocs, which is what I do at my office. Not everyone has Adobe. Some people just use the Bundledocs editor. But to be very clear, Bundledocs, third-party software, not NetDocs. You will need to pay it. Just pay for it, letting everyone know that right now, so you can get off if that's not what you're interested in. But with that, Peter, thank you so much for being here today. We did a webinar a year ago, and when we did that webinar a year ago, we went over the PDF editing portion of your product, and now we're kind of going to go over everything. So I'll turn it over to you and let you take us through Bundledocs.
Well, thank you, Craig. Thanks for the nice intro, and thanks everyone for joining today. Just back to the Titan File, we just presentation we did with them. Craig and I were talking. We are very focused on one thing, which is PDF bundling and editing. Titan File is focused on secure large file sharing. And we figured it'd be nice to do a webinar together where we produce what we call sometimes gigabyte size binders, and they are masters in delivery. Even though we do have a delivery service inside Bundledocs, we felt it was a nice fit where we offer a complimentary value add to customers, and that's how that came about. So I believe it's on their website and ours as well if you want to dip into it as well. So without further ado, let me get started on what we're talking about today, the agenda. I'm going to quickly go over the state of the law firm court relationship, a couple of minutes there. Then I'm going to go into a demonstration. I like segmenting the demonstration into 3 parts: collection, collaboration and organization, compliance and delivery. That is Bundledocs. And then we'll talk some key takeaways at the end, and wrap it up with a Q&A. I suspect probably 30 minutes before we get to the Q&A, but just feed your questions into the chat, and Craig will compile them, and we could address them at the end of the session.
Yeah, good point. Real quick, just good point for bringing that up here. If you want to ask a question, there are 2 ways to do that. There is a question and answer panel, and there is a chat option at the bottom of your Zoom, and that's how we ask questions in these webinars. Thank you for pointing that out.
No worries, yeah. So the state of the legal courtroom relationship, this is no news to anybody. Obviously, the pandemic accelerated the move to remote, and all hearings went remote, obviously, during the pandemic. But the key thing we're talking about here is the electronic file, which is the currency of exchange, basically, as I call it, between the law firm, the client, and the courts. Before the pandemic, 37 states, the pandemic forced all the remaining states to adopt an e-file submission. And the key thing is the 42 states removed any notarization. That removes any, what we call, friction in delivery. There's no human involvement, so it makes it fluid. So the e-file is becoming the standard in that relationship. So I call it, it's a digital relationship facilitated by the electronic file. And even in practice areas where the court's not involved, the relationship with clients follows the same path. It's a digital relationship. Everything's packaged in a binder, and that's the form of delivery. So what are some of the characteristics and challenges in this environment? Obviously, multiple contributors, multiple consumers, a lot going in, a lot coming out, going to different people, different roles. So that can create complexities. I already alluded to high volume, 1,000 pages plus is not uncommon, i.e. gigabyte size binders at the end of the day. Critical deadlines, what happens when you have a binder being assembled over months and somebody rushes in with, 20 documents, late insert, whenever all the pagination's been done, all the hyperlinking's been done. How do you address that? There are ways, and the technology does support that. Variety of document types, audio, video, all the Microsoft suite of formats all need to be assembled, and then we need to create some order in that volume of documents, to create superior resonation levels. The formatting, obviously, we're talking e-files here. Every court has different rules, requirements, naming conventions, et cetera, et cetera. You want to be able to have flexibility in that delivery. And, obviously, we're also trying to be paperless, but, in our worlds, as we know, there are times when paper needs to be produced, and there are judges that will say, I need a paper copy, so we need to be able to pivot to paper from digital. So, it's dual, and you got to make sure that whatever we produce can be consumed on both mediums. Another key thing is the attorney oversight, visibility and binder evolution. It's always nice to see the evolution of the process because the story is being built and created. So it's nice to see that happening as opposed to, let's do all the heavy lifting and let's bind at the end and hopefully everything's in order and there are no surprises. It's nice to see the evolution along the way by all key stakeholders. And once we're stitching all these documents together, the idea of diving into one of these documents for some cross-referencing, some redaction work, you want to throw in some annotations and stuff, the idea to delve into a PDF edit on the components of the binder is also a key requirement. And last but not least, once we finish producing that set, as we call it, or that binder, we need to deliver it. And as we know, it's not going to happen through email. That's for sure. The three components I talked about: collection, collaboration, and organization, compliance, and delivery. I'm going to go through the demo each one of these individually through the software, all done through a cloud platform. So everything I'm showing you is cloud platform. So let's start with collection. And what I like doing before I'm going to dive into the software right now, I'm just going to give you a peek so we're all on the same page of what we're trying to produce. At the end of the day, I've been calling it a binder or a bundle or a set, but at the end of the day, we're talking about a neatly, well-formatted, compliant PDF document that can span, 40 sections, can span 1,000, 2,000 pages, 3,000 pages, and contain all kinds of document types, including video, audio, etc. So this is what you're seeing on the screen here. This is just one example of the end product. So I thought it'd be good to bring up the end game early on, so we're on the same page in terms of what we're trying to achieve. How we achieve this? We achieve this through the Bundledocs service. You're seeing the service right here. For those of you who have a single sign-on, this screen becomes invisible to you if you have single sign-on. So we integrate nicely into your technology stack. But if you don't, it's basically user ID password to get into our platform, and off we go. When we start in our platform, you will see our homepage. Our homepage has a listing of all the binders that you have created or you have access to. Keeping in mind, because it's a cloud service, this is a team sport now, and your peers, the legal assistant, the attorney, maybe the practice group, if they're part of the team, have visibility of the binder. So that's one key takeaway right there. We also have a notion of templates, which we're not going to talk about today, but essentially, like in any technology, templates just makes your life easier. So once you create the perfect formula, the perfect recipe for a binder in terms of pagination, formatting, title page, skeleton section, section lettering, all the stuff that is required to create that perfect binder for that perfect practice area, you can store that in a template so you don't start from scratch the next time around. Okay, so that's all there is with templates, and I'll refer to the notion of templates throughout the presentation, but it only gets easier with templates. The only thing you'd be able to do here is to create a new bundle, and this is where you start the process. You could also start the process right inside NetDocuments if you want. We have integrations into NetDocuments where the process can start here, or it can start in NetDocuments or other DM systems. Okay, so I've already created a binder for our consumption, and I've created it with a couple of sections. Remember, I just talked about templates. If that template had 15 tabs and subtabs, they would all appear here ready to receive documents because they're part of a template. Just like here we have two. So it's a 5-step process. We've already gotten the first step created where we labeled the binder. Now we're going to we have a couple of sections. Let's add one section here, and we'll call it legal opinions. Just spell that properly. And we've just created legal opinion, so on and on. But again, as I said, templates would have these waiting for you to receive documents. So we did one, and now let's start going on to that was step number 2. We're going to go on to step number 3, which is let's add documents, i.e. the notion of collection and contribution. Making sure this is easy, fluid is key. So let's add some documents. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to just do a simple, let's browse from desktop or a network share, etc., wherever you feel. We'll take a stack of documents and we'll upload them into Pleading. So what's happening here is a upload of documents where we're taking the source document, we're converting it to PDF, we're doing some validation checking to make sure that there's no corruption, there's no password protection. So we're letting you know as much as possible on the intake so that there's no surprises when we generate the binder, which can, like I said, can be thousands of pages. So we did one upload, and you've seen in the back here where the documents have landed in Pleadings. We maintain the original icon, as you can see here, to identify the source. And we brought up PDFs. We brought up some Word documents. We brought up an email. The email has attachments. We brought those up as well. And already PDFs that were already sitting there as well. So that's one way of uploading. So another way to upload is we're going to go into NetDocuments. Here we go. And this gives me a lens into NetDocuments. You got your cabinet, your recent spaces. You could do a search if you want for documents or folders. In this case, I'm going into this workspace. I have a Bundledocs, and I have a folder here that I've already packaged a series of exhibits. So let me just take that whole folder and send it up to NetDocuments. I could have dove into that folder and selected individual documents, or I could basically take the whole folder and send it up. So in this case, I'm sending up the exhibits section, and that has now populated right here as well. As you can see, let me just drop this down. It dropped it inside of pleadings, but I'm just going to toss it to the left. And there we go. The exhibits are there now. If I hit the save button, they're nicely ordered, and I'm going to move them down here as well because I want them in the last section. There we go. And save. We have the exhibits. And those are the exhibits I brought up from NetDocuments, the whole folder, and I just moved it in the tree a little bit to the left. Okay. So there's another way to upload documents directly from NetDocuments as a method of upload. The other thing we're going to do here is, which is probably a use case that's really popular. And let me just, which is, I want to populate correspondence, and I'm getting ad hoc emails coming in with all kinds of documents. So I'm just going to go into my Outlook and drop in an email right into correspondence right here. And lo and behold, the email's coming in. This email is an email on case status, and it has some attachments that are also being uploaded along with the email. So as you can see now, under correspondence, I have that email, and under the email, I have the 3 attachments that were part of that email. So that was a drag and drop of an email. You could drag and drop directly onto these folders from Outlook, from a file share. And again, you could also upload from NetDocuments by clicking on the Add Documents icon right up here, which I demonstrated with the exhibit section. So these are just some of the ways for intake and collection, okay? So summarizing that, let me just make sure that there we go. So takeaways here: drag and drop files and folders, drag and drop emails. Email attachments are automatically extracted. Email pre-process. I did not mention that, but we could, as part of the upload, we could just take the last thread instead of the whole series of thread. Or on the opposite side, we could unitize the threads, meaning if there's 10 dates inside a single email, we could extract that into 10 line items. And of course, the DM integration, as you've seen, as I demonstrated there before. So now we have documents sitting here, and the next phase of this, if I just go back here, is collaboration and organization with a sprinkling of PDF editing. So we're in that phase now where we have content, okay, that's populated. It's sitting in Bundledocs, and we want to start organizing, okay? So one of the basic organization is a drag. I want to move this one up here. That Word document should be up here. I hit save, and now it's ordered in that location. So there is a way to move documents very easily. In fact, that's a single drag and drop, or I can basically, especially if I have a lot of documents, I can take this whole series of exhibits. They really dropped into the wrong section. Remember I uploaded that. They should be in exhibits. I select those on the right. I click on exhibits, and bingo. If I open up exhibits now, they've landed in exhibits along with what I brought up from NetDocuments. If I click the save button, everything is re-indexed in order under section number 4. So that's very, very easy in terms of one single drag and drop and what we call bulk drag and drop. And that works as well. If I need this document, these 3 documents in this order, should really be in correspondence. I click there and they drop into correspondence. Bingo, I hit save, and they're placed in that order. So ordering is key as part of creating that resonation level in the binder. Likewise, as part of continuation of that theme, the ordering theme, you have a date that is associated with every document. That date can be a date from the last email sent, last email received, the last update date of the document, or it could be some metadata in your DM system, which is much more substantive in terms of the date of that document. So if you need to redate, it's simply click on the date and you're redating documents. So that's an exercise, that's a common use case in the binding process where you need to redate documents because the last update doesn't do the job, or the last date of the send. It's maybe the date of the signature or date of closing or whatever it may be. So very, very easy to redate. Likewise, renaming documents, again, part of that resonation story. Very easy to rename as you go along and just drop into the field and do some renaming. And the last, once you have these dates in the proper, they are legitimate or what we call substantive, you can, chronologically sort the section at will, oldest to newest, newest to oldest, or you could sort alphabetically and then basically hit the save. And now they're in the order that you choose. And that's done on a section by section basis. So some sections are ripe for chronological sorting, i.e. exhibits, for example. Others maybe not. So we have that ability to rename, redate, and start creating that what we call perfect story. So we've done a lot of movement here, and that's the whole idea of this workspace, is having a place where multiple parties can come in and create that perfect story over a period of time. However, we want to go a little bit further, and we want to see what's available in terms of a viewer. So if I jump in here, I just want to make sure I have the new viewer is enabled. Yes, it is. If I click on a document, notice of trial, here we go. I have, let me just reduce that. That's much better. Okay, so what I have is a document on the right, my panel of my binder on the left. I see the viewer right here. So this is a great way to, one, do your renaming, redating function. So you have full visibility in line with our PDF viewer editor, in line with the document. So if I jump into this document, it will bring up, I suspect an email. Exactly. There's an email that we brought in. And here it is. I could just hover to whichever document I want, and I could now navigate, rename, redate, see my document on the right side. This is a demonstration of the viewer, inline viewer. However, as you can see here, let me just bring that to actual size. There we go. And over here, where you could do other things. This is where we now get into the editing concept. This is not just a viewer, it's an editor, as Craig was mentioning. This editor, one, sits in line with all these documents to the left, but it also sits in line within that documents. If you want this editor as a standalone, it's there as well. So it's not just an editor that sits inside the binder. Okay. And things you can do here. Go ahead.
Can I ask, quick question from the audience here. Can you do these edits just in NetDocs?
Yes, absolutely. Right now we're in the bundle, and we're using the editor against the documents in the bundle, but this same editor, through the right click, start application, you could launch the editor and it saves it as a new version inside of NetDocuments.
I don't know. I think that people don't understand what a big deal that is, because you do not need to have Adobe Professional on your computer. You don't need to have Foxit on your computer. You could be on your Mac or your Windows device, and you could edit PDFs within NetDocs without ever leaving the web browser. So you should know that that capability exists, not with Adobe or Foxit or Nuance, but with Bundledocs. And we're not saying this is going to replace Adobe Pro for everyone, but for certain people it might.
Exactly. Yeah. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to provide, first and foremost, the editing service right inside the binder. But because we have a lot of our clients say, hey, I like this editor. Can I just apply it against single documents? Forget it's not about bundling. I just want to edit a document. I maybe want to just rotate a page. I want to split a document. I want to, deskew a document, deskew a document. I want to move pages around in a document. I want to, which I'm going to do right now, I want to redact a section. And there we go. I just redacted a section. That's probably one of the most popular features. Or you have annotations. I want to highlight some area and I want to create a link, behind the highlight to another document. So not only did I create the highlight, but I've also created a link behind the highlight. So maybe do some markups. I want to. There we go. We want to do markups as well. Maybe I want to apply an exhibit stamp. I have a dynamic exhibit stamp that I want to put in, and let's put in an exhibit stamp right here. Right here. There we go. We just put in an exhibit stamp with variables in there that's taking it from some metadata. So this PDF editor is in proximity of the whole bundling exercise. But like Craig said, the editor also sits inside of that document as a lightweight cloud editor for those jobs, for those jobs that top 20 features of Adobe. So I've just done a highlight, I've done a redaction, I've done a little bit of a markup. I can paste a label that says, which acts like this. This was redacted. So it's literally, it's a redaction with text, basically, is what we call our label feature. And you could do a lot of hyperlinking. I could hyperlink as well. I could link to an external link, like a citation, I could link to another annotation inside the binder, et cetera, et cetera. So in this case, I'm going to give it a color. Bingo. And let's do some hyperlinking. There's a hyperlink right there. And we're going to hyperlink that as well. So now we just created 2 hyperlinks. That's going to go to that document that referenced for that hyperlink. So those are some of the features. And we have a search. So if you need to apply all of the redaction, highlighting, etc., across the whole document or whole binder, you could do a search and redact, and off you go.
Like a social security number or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. So the one are probably the biggest use case here: renaming, redating, having the viewer. And the next use case is I got to redact this area because when I generate, I want to have a copy internally. And I want to send a binder with all the redactions burned in to the other side or whoever else that is not privy to some information. And you have the toggling going on in the generation on what I call an annotation film. This is a whole film that can be burnt on or taken off.
Yeah, so just want to be clear because someone asked it too. And again, I just want to so like we have a birth date in all the documents. Birthday could be in 7 of these documents all over the place. We could do the search and it would hit every document in the binder. So I do not have to go to each document search. Does it do it all at once or do I have to do per document?
Right here, I'm right here. If you click this item here, find in all documents, and then you hit, remember, redact. So if you redact against any word, and then make sure you turn on the switch, find in all documents, it'll go across all documents in the binder and find a date or a number or a name or whatever.
Yeah, awesome. And then the other question, just because we're right here in it too, obviously I see the button. This will OCR a document that's not OCR'd, right?
Yep, there's 2 options for OCR. You could individually OCR, or there's a setting as you upload all these documents, they're all queued for OCR. So it's all in the background. So you don't have to worry about a desktop tool that's chugging away with OCR. The OCR is automatically done in the background so that when the binder is produced, it's full text searchable across the board. And the OCR engine supports double byte character sets, Chinese, Japanese, other languages. So it's an international OCR engine. So this is the PDF editor. I'm just showing the highlights here, but I am going to save this. So I'm saving this document with what I call the annotation layer on it, okay? So, I don't know why that's taking a little bit of time here. Let's give it a second.
All right, while this is going, can I ask a question? Or I'll wait.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So what happens, because this is the other thing that I get clients ask me all the time. Okay, what happens if you have a video or an audio file? How do you handle that?
If you have a video audio file, we upload video audio files up to 1 gigabyte in content, in size, and they're indexed the same way. Obviously, we don't PDF or anything, but they will be part of the index as well.
So if you click on the link on there, like say it's a video, there'll just be like it'll be in the binder, and there'll just be like a link to it, or
absolutely.
like,
yes.
Okay.
What happens when we generate the binder? We'll generate the binder with all the embedded PDFs, and in a subfolder we'll have the video links, but at least you'll be able to navigate the index and it'll play the video or an audio clip or whatever.
The other thing is when we go and we generate this binder, we do have the ability to bait stamp everything, right?
Yes. Yeah. Bait stamping is part of the pagination scheme. And let me just close that, and I think somebody was generating, my teammate was probably generating while we were doing this. So let me just go back in here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, it's good. It saved it. Yeah. Well, I did say it's a team sport, and I guess someone was already generating my binder while we were demonstrating here. But yeah, so hopefully that answered your questions. Audio, video, up to 1 gigabyte can be uploaded, indexed, cross-reference. So you could hyperlink to them, whatever, and it'll be part of the story. Yeah. Likewise, you can say Excel should be kept in native format. Sometimes Excel, when you have multiple columns, exceeding, you have 25 columns and a lot of formulas, PDF doesn't do justice. So sometimes you could exclude and keep certain documents at source. That's good as well. So we are at that stage now where I've shown you the editor, and that editor sits alongside every single document, one as a viewer or as an editor. Okay, that's the key takeaway here. And that's one of the advantages of the Bundledocs. We don't stitch documents together, but we give you access to the individual documents that are part of the bundle. Okay. So if we head back here, what are the takeaways? We could rename, we could redate, we could sort. We're trying to create that order. We're all working as a team, internally and externally. I can invite external players. I could basically say, hey, Craig, can you contribute documents? And I'm going to give you 3 days of access. You could, give him a term, and he's got 3 days to upload documents, and I give him just a document uploader role or a reviewer role or whatever. This is the key one we just seen, the PDF editor viewer in proximity. It's right next door, essentially. And then we have all the PDF annotation, stamps, redaction, split, rotate, markup, etc. All that is available through the editor. And just to jump back into the binder, how easy it is to invite people to the party. We have collaborators, and this is where I would put in an email, and I would say, I'm just going to give this individual till next Friday there's all different roles. Depending on the role I give them, a contributor, an update. And now I've just invited that individual to participate in the process, the bundling process, with a certain level of access. Okay. So sooner or later, we have the binder. It's getting into a stage where, well, let's create the finished product, and now we're on to what we call generate. Okay, so we like what we see, we like the naming, we like the order, we like the sections, etc., etc. Now it's time to generate, and again, lots of options. Not to be intimidated, I did refer to templates at the beginning. Once we set up a template, almost zero visits to any of these fields, i.e., once we establish, say it requires Bates numbering, let's establish it. If we have to establish certain pagination schemes, positioning of the pages, for example, a key option here is synchronize my page numbering with Adobe, so that when we push this binder out to anybody or a judge or the court, when someone says page 27, it's our page 27 and Adobe page 27. Everybody's lands on the same place. So that synchronization is critical. One of the most popular options in our product is generate with page labels to synchronize. So there's a lot of options, okay? And again, I'm just highlighting certain sections, the annotations. I did a whole bunch of annotations. What do we want to do? Do we want to include or exclude the redactions? Because depending on the recipient, do we want to include or exclude all the highlighting I did? I could have added notes. Do I want to include or exclude the notes, etc., etc.? Or do I want to send it out with indicative redactions, meaning show me where I redacted, but at least I could read through. Stuff like that. So you could generate multiple versions of the binder depending on the recipient's role in the case. So that's an important one. As far as section pages, we could generate as a source zip or a PDF zip. So if you don't want a single PDF, we could generate individual PDFs, but with an index, or we could generate as a source zip as well. So those are some of the generation options that we have. Probably some of the most important ones is the custom index. This is where we talked about compliance. Where should be the court number? Where should be the plaintiff, defendant name should be on the margin, left, right, center? How should that be structured? Basically, we can attach a custom index that has all the fonts, all the order of the columns, what's in the columns. All that is part of our template. Okay, if I look at a preview of our template, it's basically a Word document with some what we call smart tags that we develop for you. You do it yourself, but this allows unlimited flexibility in the look and feel to achieve something of this magnitude right here that looks good and presents well, including your branding, logos, everything else can be part of that. You want to include a title page. You want to, you have some custom stamping as part of this. You have the idea, if I preview the custom stamp and you want to do some exhibit stamps, you could generate the same thing with variables and it will inject the right metadata, and off it goes, and we could propagate that into multiple pages for you. So those are the customized stamping, customized index, obviously the page numbering, Bates numbering, whatever needs to be done to create the finished product. And remember, everything you change here is stored as part of a template so that the next user does not have to go through any of this. Okay, they simply hit generate. And when we hit generate, the binder starts generating. You could walk away. There's no need to watch here. You could shut down if you need be. This is a short one, so it's very quick. But if this was, 3,000 pages, basically you could shut down, walk home, and pick it up at home because you'd get an email telling you your binder has arrived. And as you can see here, this is a sample custom index. Obviously, I didn't fill in some of the fields, but as you can see, there's some shadings, links, etc., etc. And I noticed the particulars, not that one. Let me just bring up that index again. Oh, maybe this one. No.
Well, this is just, I mean, it's a hyperlinked PDF.
That's right. It's absolutely a hyperlinked PDF, fully bookmarked, fully ordered, fully paginated for you with all the pagination schemes, the date applied, everything else. And if you need other columns, we could add them as well. So this is just one example of the finished product.
Just because we're getting towards the end, I want to just go hit some, because we've got like 4 minutes left. So is there a way to add a custom divider between the exhibits? Like,
yes. Yeah, you could put a custom divider. You could add blank pages between sections, a title page, etc., etc.
and then when we go to organize the binder, what is the format date we need to use to ensure chronological order is accurate? That's that date right there, correct?
Right. Exactly. I call that I call it what is the substantive date. So, we can only take dates that exist. So it's either the last update date, because every file has a date of last update. Every email and every attachment to that email has a date. We take that date. But
take the email date.
Yes, we take the email date sent or date received.
Okay.
Not the date of upload. Yeah. But
and last modified date would be so.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And again, you can redate. One of the key exercises is redating, renaming, because sometimes the date is outside the spectrum of those two dates. We have clients that have when they change a document type in their DM that is targeted for binding, it prompts them for a date. And that could be a date that could be fed in and replace these dates as well. Okay.
So if I'm interested in this, like say I'm a 20 user NetDocs account, can I just buy this for 3 people?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So this is where you get into who are what we call the practice areas that need high performance bundling with a lot of variables. I haven't even gotten into some of the variables like late inserts, simple inserts, strikeouts. So there's a whole series of core bundling. I just want to generate a bundle with 20% of the documents that are key documents, core documents within the sections. There's a whole slew of other things that are made, obviously focused in the litigation area, but you can literally address high performance bundling needs directly with what we call incremental licensing.
All right, let me ask this, is there a way to print the entire binder you have created, which I'm assuming is just file print, right? And use this main page as the table of contents for the printed binder? I guess you could use the table of contents could be like the main page.
Well, that's the whole idea. Everything that's here is converting into a table of contents. I call it a customized index, but every time I use the word customized index, we're calling it about a customized table of contents, and that'll give you the hyperlink page right at the beginning, which is literally this. So,
Yep, perfect. So look, we now that we have a minute left, if someone is interested in Bundledocs, what should they do?
Yeah. First of all, if they're interested in Bundledocs, obviously they can reach out to you or to me. And I think I do have.
We'll have that. We'll have the information. We're going to send everyone a copy of this video. That's probably the number one question.
Yes.
You had to take a phone call or something. You want to go back and look at it. We recorded this. It'll be up on the website. We will send it to everyone, including your colleagues that couldn't make this. And Peter's information is going to be in that email. So just send you an email if you're interested. How is that? There's your
Absolutely. Yeah,
information right
it's
there.
on screen right now. My email's on screen, so is yours. My phone number is there. If you need a specific deep dive demo, obviously this is 30,000-foot view, just reach out to me and I can take you through and discuss your needs with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say to my customers that use this, they love it, or they don't complain. So that's the
Yeah. No,
one
it's
or the other. I never hear bad things about it. And for me, because I'm not bundling as much, but I am putting some stuff together for clients. That's just nice to put it all together and make it look like this. Man, I love that PDF editor, especially if I'm just not on my, because I have multiple, I'm a nerd, got multiple computers, got Adobe Pro on 2 of them, not all of them. And I love to just jump into that PDF editor and edit directly from NetDocs. I think it's just huge. And I think you can look at some cost savings there if you don't have to have everyone at your firm have Adobe Pro now. Some people still need it for certain reasons,
Oh, yeah,
but
absolutely.
other people might not.
Yeah.
Peter, thank you. This was fantastic.
Excellent. Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Like I said, if you need additional information, please reach out.
All right. You have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.